Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and this is Thursday. It's August 15th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And what I saw starting off was this down channel here. It looked like it was going to be a really strong down day. We did have a couple of nice legs down, but then we just kind of went into this trading range. And it's kind of a two-tiered. You can see there's kind of a high point there and then another one up here. And for the rest of the day, we've just pretty much been in this range from, say, 57 3/4 to 65 or so. So fairly tight range, not much happening. There's still some trades in here, but you really needed to pay attention to this channel until we had the break here. And we tried to get a new low. We couldn't get it. And then we finally made a new low here. And it looked like we were going to rally on out of there, but then they beat it down again. But now looks like maybe we're trying to hit higher again. Looks like there may be a little failed second entry short there. It's way late in the afternoon now. I'm just now getting a chance to do this, but this was my last trade of the day right here through lunch. So I'll show you what we had through lunch. But again, it started out as a fairly strong looking downtrend, and then we found support down here, and we broke below it once, twice maybe, just a little bit here, and then again here, and we tried it again. Really what's happened is it's just moved a little bit lower. You can see that right there, and now we seem to be headed back to the other side. So let's go over the trades real quick, and then we'll wrap this up for today. Plenty of chances to get short off this. I saw it as a bigger channel with this kind of what I call a median line, a midpoint. First trade that I saw that was worth taking was a little bit before the open. It looked like there was a failed second entry short that tried to go higher. It found resistance, but notice, there's not a line there. I moved that line over and I didn't put one back for the video, but you can kind of see those highs right there running across there, and you got this little doji at the very, it looks almost like a trading range is kind of the way I was looking at it, or a congestion area, and you can see that if I put the lines on there, it makes it a little more clear. At that point I had it a little higher. So it's a little doji, a chance to get short at the top, and you see, and it found support right there. Nice easy scalp, not much more than that. And then we broke lower. First entry, second entry. So that's like a breakout pullback short, but it's a two-legged pullback to both the EMA, the median line. There's a fairly nice reversal bar. It didn't close completely on its low there. Let me make this a little bigger. Didn't close on its low there, so I used a limit order here. And people ask me a lot of times, and by this time this line is way down here, so and that was another reason I like using the limit order, because it may bounce here and it's getting really close. But this is a downtrend, and we're making lower highs and lower lows, and this is a two-legged pullback to the EMA. Basically the same thing as a trend line right here. It's a reversal. So there's a lot of reasons to like that trade. I did use a limit order, and people always ask me, when do you use a limit order versus a stop? And if it's a good setup in a downtrend, you better just use a stop. And I actually missed some trades today by not using a stop because the trade took off without me. I think I missed a couple of them today trying to use a limit order, but I used one here, got filled. Wouldn't have mattered if you used a stop or a limit order. It dropped on down. We bounced again. It's just kind of like another little breakout pullback short. Kind of same thing here. It didn't close on its low, and then you kind of had the inside bar, and you might have missed this trade for that reason, but there was more than one chance to enter this trade. If you didn't enter on a limit order when it broke lower, that's what I did here, and you can see it came back, and you could have got filled maybe a tick or two into it. But this little bar here, this little doji serves the same thing as the breakout pullback. And so there was another chance to go short there, and you wouldn't have had this line necessarily here at that point because I didn't have that there until we found the resistance up here, and you can see that. But anyway, Yeah, that serves as a little breakout pullback short. It's all downhill. Um, you know, there's a chance we could have gone higher here, but generally you figure you're going to retest that low, and once it got down there, just broke on through. So that turned out to be probably one of the best entries of the day right there, right after the open. And I didn't like any of this for longs, and we just kind of went in this congestion. I just didn't see a chance to really enter. You don't want to be going long here, and there's just not really a good short setup. You might have considered this one with a limit order, and it may have worked, but you know, we're way over. Look how far we've in long we've been away from the EMA there. We're way overdue to come back. So you got to be careful once you start getting. You can see the same thing happened here again, and this is pretty much two measured legs here. There's two legs here, a little correction, and then two more legs, and these are pretty much measured legs. But this is just a second entry short, two tries to go lower, really a double top at the EMA, the median line. Just another chance to get short. Again, there's a lot of overlap, so you might have used a limit order. But like I said, sometimes you'll miss some really good trades doing that, so you got to be careful with it. And you know, if you're not certain, there's plenty of room to get out of this one before getting down here. So using a stop is no problem. You see it took off really fast. So both of these trades had really good runners on them. So nice chance to make some money on those two trades. Then we finally got back up to the main trend line. And let me show you how I found this original trend line, drawing it off those first couple of swings up there. And when I drug it down, it fit across the top of these, and then you drag it on down to the next spot. We never got down there. The market, there was just too much support kind of down in this 1666 to 1656 to 57 area. There's a lot of support right in there, and you can see that. But this was the first turn down off that main thing. And again, it didn't close on its low. This one actually, I meant to draw this one. This is one of the ones I missed right here. I missed this trade right here. Notice that there's a new low, a first entry short, a failed second entry short with a nice reversal bar. Because this was a doji, I tried to use that limit order right there. It bounced on it one time, and then it went higher, and I missed that one. And that was a good long there too, but I want to make that one in green. It needs to be, because it's a little aggressive, because this is a downtrend and there's been no but this is the lower median line, and there was a good chance we might, you know, I'm thinking we hadn't been up in this quadrant in a while, or this half. So, but then a nice chance to go short right there. Again, you could have used a limit order or a stop, because it's not a perfect reversal bar. It didn't quite glow. And then we had this like a little double top, but we had that one tick higher. You can see that right there. I don't know what that little line is, but you can see we kind of ticked higher, and it turned down. And this is another one, you know, I just used a stop here because I didn't want to miss that trade. It's the first break of the trend line. There's plenty of room down here to this little double bottom, and it did bounce there, but it got on through. So this is like a double top right here. Well, it is a double top. It's not like a double top. It's a double top. And then a little hot. This is a failed second entry long. Look at that big. Now that's the kind of reversal bar you like to see. You drop your order right there, and it worked on down. Easy scalp. No big runners there on any of those, though. And we couldn't make a new low. And then look at that reversal bar. And, you know, if you draw in your I originally had this line over a little more, and that's probably still where it's at. You see that. But I like the fact that this went lower first and turned, closed on its very high. I did use a limit order here. I was a little nervous about using a stop. And it's a little bit aggressive. I don't think it's so aggressive that I want to put it in green, because it's such a nice reversal that trapped people. You got to figure they're probably going to test this area one more time at the least, and that's exactly where we went to before it found resistance. And then you had a failed second entry short here, so technically you could have gone long there, but I didn't like that bar, and the fact that I was looking at a possible you know, this being the upper part of the trend channel. I didn't like that, so I waited. It would have worked. You had to kind of ride that back out, but now you got two tries to go lower right there and another big reversal bar, so a chance to get long. And but it went into all this choppiness, so I just scalped out of this one and closed any of my runners, and I'm glad I did because it turned and went down. Then it tried to go higher again, but this is a second entry long right here, and notice that that's really, we had a little bit of a break of the trend line right there, but generally you got to figure we may test this one more time. And the reason I like this one is because we had a first entry long, a pullback, and we went lower first right there and then broke higher. I actually went long right there because it went down and then broke above that. And when it closed back down there, it scared me, but this thing opened right back up and kept going, and then I felt pretty confident about it. I can't remember if I tightened my stop on this one just in case, but it went right on back up, tested the high, went one tick higher. That's what you're looking for, the break of the trend line. This is a little channel, break of the channel, a couple of legs up to a new high, and then guess what? It sold off. So I liked that trade. But if it hadn't have probably broken lower first and then gone higher, I might have waited. There's really a second entry there. You don't see the pullback, but it's still a second entry, even though it doesn't really look like one. And it looks like we're going back to test these highs again. Maybe we'll test them before it closes. So we just finished that trade. Now we got a trend line break, a new high. There's a good chance we're going lower. I wanted to go low right there, but I didn't feel like we had enough correction. And if you'd have taken it, it would have worked. But when we had that failed second entry long, you know, you want to go, you just put your stop right there. And if it breaks below it, you get filled. If it doesn't, it goes higher. You just cancel your orders. People always ask me, how do you know when is it failed? As soon as it doesn't make its scalp on the second entry and it breaks below another bar, that point where it breaks below, right there, when this bar went one tick lower, that's what triggers the failure. So you got to have your stop waiting there. Either that, or as soon as it triggers, you drop a limit order in there or back up in a couple of ticks. And you can see you could have gotten filled as much as a tick back into that bar, but I just used a stop, and you know, it just worked its way on down. That was a nice runner there. You got several points, and you got to be leery of exiting down here because it's where you bounced last time, and look, that's where you bounce again. And then you come down here, and this time it gets a little bit lower and bounces, and this time it makes a little higher high, and now it's bouncing again. You can see that. And that's what the market does. It goes back and forth testing these support and resistance areas over and over and over. So this was a nice short. And then this one, I definitely meant, no, I didn't mean. The reason I liked this one is because at that point, let me back out where you can see it a little better. At that point, this was your low. And it's looking like a, you know, it's definitely looking, look how the prices are on both sides of the EMA. We're staying, you know, we can't really get below this. So that was another bounce, a chance to get in pretty close to the low. I used a limit order here, and this one I actually had to move it up, and I got filled. I didn't get filled one tick into it, but when it broke higher, it went 2 ticks real quick. So I moved it up and chased it by a tick. But that's still better than the stop. Even if you'd use a stop here, you were probably okay. There's enough room to get out before you get back to the EMA, which is the first place you're probably going to get resistance. But I like that trade just simply because even though there was no real break of this little channel, you might have waited till here for that reason. And maybe I should make this one green. I almost did. But because of this strong support, you got to figure we're going to go back to the EMA, so I just took it without much question. But I tell you what, I'm going to make that green because it is a little more aggressive if you know, if you didn't realize that this is strong support here. And we hadn't had a break of that little channel coming down through there, so that was and you see, we broke it and we moved it high a little bit and trapped everybody, and then it took off lower again. And there is a failed second entry short there, so you could have gone long right there, and there was another scalp. But that's one thing I want to talk about, and then I'm going to wrap up today. I get a lot of questions about these traps. People just arbitrarily send me emails and say, why did this, there was a failed second entry here and I took the trap and it failed instantly. Well, you don't want to be taking, let me just give you an example. Like here's one right here. Here's a first entry and a second entry that failed, but that doesn't mean you want to go long right there. Look at the markets in a downtrend. That's what they want to do, is trap you to the long side and then take it down. What constitutes a good trap is a place that fools a lot of people. And if it doesn't fool a lot of people, it's not going to trap people. That's the idea. Just like right here, this was prices were working lower, but it looks like a little trading range, and people probably thought it was going up here. So there's a first entry, pull back second entry, and they go long right there, and then suddenly it turns down. That's a trap, and that's not a real good one, but it's still a trap. That's the kind you're looking for, the counter trend ones. And the only time you're really looking for one that's to enter counter trend is if you found strong support or something like that, or strong resistance up here. Then maybe you would be interested in one the other way. But generally, when the market's going down, you're looking for failures to the upside so you can get short with the trend. And if the market's moving up, you're looking for failures to the low side, like right here, so you can get long with the trend. So keep that in mind. Just because you see a failed second entry, it doesn't mean that there's going to be a great trap if it fails and goes, breaks higher. It's got to be in the right context. So don't get confused on that, please. It seems like a lot of people are. But most of the people that do that, they probably haven't read the manual, or they probably don't really know the rules, and they're just watching the videos, and they see me talk about a failed second entry. So then they're out there looking for them, which is good, but you got to find them in the right context, following all the other rules and so forth. So don't think just because you see a failed second entry that, you're automatically going to get an easy scalp, because if you find them in the right context, they rarely, if ever, fail. I mean, I probably, in the last month, I've probably taken several dozen of those, and I don't think maybe any of them have failed, maybe one at the most. So they're very high probability, but only when they're in the right context. And if you don't understand that, or if you don't understand the right context, then just don't take them blindly. Make sure you know what you're doing. So, but that was it for me through the noon. I just try to, for anybody that's new watching the videos, I usually try to do this video just after noon, so I only usually show trades from about 7 to noon, and then I'm usually trying to get out of here. But I've been here today. I just didn't have time to do the video yet. But like I said, there's some traps in here, and there's another little trend down, and now we got another little trend working up. But you got to draw your trend lines and generally stay with the rules, and that's usually going to keep you on the right side. I'll just show you how I, find where it fits the prices the most. I'll start out with one line, and you see prices are fitting in that channel fairly good, fairly reasonably well, I guess I should say. And my guess is we'll pull on back here and hit the line, and maybe we'll go higher. But I do see a couple of legs up that look like a measured move. So, and this has kind of been strong resistance right here, and we're finding it again. And there's about 15 minutes left in the day. But that's how I do my channels. I find, and if the prices don't fit in it neatly, I'll adjust it around. So, but you can see that one's fitting pretty well on both sides. Of course, it's easier to find it after the fact when you're trying to find it with it, but it's generally off the first couple of swings. Sometimes you got to use the entire bar, and sometimes you use the closes, but you can see it's fitting best in the closes right there. But let me show you this just in case. You see where it found a little resistance there. That's probably somebody using the upper ones. But that's how I find the lines. I just, it's usually off your first couple of swings, and on these short-term ones, it's usually the closes. And you can see that all the way down. The closes stayed inside that line. Let's copy it, see if it fits neatly on the other side as well. Yep, fits pretty good. We kind of overshot it right there, and that was enough reason maybe to take that second entry long right there. And this was a move towards a retest anyway. That's the reason I didn't have the line on there. But notice this one, the break, and then the retest with a new low, and then we rallied up out of there. So now we're coming back to this trend line, back to the EMA. It's probably, I would expect it to bounce there, but it's so close to the close, right at 3 o'clock, everybody's trying to exit, so anything could happen. It could shoot straight up, straight down, or it could just get stuck right there and not go anywhere. But again, if I back out, hopefully you can see today, we started out in a steep downtrend. We had a break. We retested that low multiple times. There's strong support right there. And really the resistance has moved down to, maybe right across there. It's really kind of two-tiered. So, and it's probably if you find that it's probably a measured move in there, they're going to be fairly equal in size. So, but that's what I saw today, and hopefully some of the other things we talked about, the traps and the limit orders, will be helpful for some of you as well. So, but I'm going to wrap it up. We got one more day of this week. It's been a pretty good trading week, but I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.